Hi, I'm Sibila and I'm a student at the IMC Krems. Today I have a very special assignment. I'm going to have a very personal interview with Mrs. Alexandra Kuhnle-Schadn. She's the study program director of Business Administration, and I'm sure it's going to be very informative and very fun. So, Mrs. Kuhnle-Schadn, why are we here today?
Okay, first of all, I have to mention that I not only work in Krems, but I also live here. And Krems is a wonderful city where you can also have walks in the vineyards and along the river Danube. And that's where we are right at the moment. We are in a vineyard and we have a perfect view over the river Danube, as you can see. And we also have a perfect view of the campus where our university is situated. Krems is a nice little town. And I think it's easy to recognize that it must be part of the Wachau World Heritage Region. Krems is also a very safe city, and it has a very international atmosphere because of all the international students. And what I also would like to mention is that it's only 1 hour away from Vienna, no matter if you go by car or by train. Okay. That's an additional asset.
So for our audience that doesn't know you, could you please introduce yourself?
Okay, I think you know my name already, but I would like to repeat it. My name is Alexandra Kuhnle-Schadn. I'm the program director of Business Administration, and I've been working at this university for many years already. I originally studied business education at the Vienna University of Economics and Business, and I even worked there in research for a few years. But I always wanted to get a bit practical experience, and I was always very interested in finance. So I started to work in a bank. I worked in a bank as the assistant to the CEO. But education never really let go of me. So I decided after some years to start in a University of Applied Sciences. At this time, it's more than 20 years ago, this sector was only emerging. So it was a really interesting thing, and I think that the University of Applied Sciences is a perfect thing because it combines practice orientation and theory in a very good way.
And what subjects do you teach?
Yes, according to my interests and also according to my practical experience, I teach subjects of business administration that have a strong numerical connection, of course. So it's subjects like accounting, bookkeeping, cost accounting and finance. I also published a few books in this field already. But maybe one thing I would also try to highlight is what I like on my job. I like to meet the students also outside the university in this nice city. So for example, in the pedestrian zone or along the river Danube when I'm on a walk. And I like to chat informally with them. I think it's very important to meet students at eye level.
Of course. Okay, so do you want to finish your talk drinking a coffee at Zweistein?
Oh yes,
yeah?
I would like that a lot. Let's do
go.
that.
So now we're back from our beautiful walk through the vineyards, and now we're at Zweistein, one of the main hotspots in Krems for students, to continue our interview. So, what makes your study program stand out?
You can read many things on our website actually, but there are some things I would like to highlight. For example, that our program is a very broad program. This means that our students get a well-founded, sound education in business administration without the special focus at the moment. And I think that is very important because many interests develop during the course of a program and during the course of studies, and therefore they keep all options open. And I think that is very important.
Would I need any economic pre-knowledge?
That's a very good question. I know many first-year students are worried that they might need any business or economic pre-knowledge, and I can answer these questions with a no. We start from scratch, so nobody has to be worried when he or she starts with the study program.
Would I be able to have a part-time job beside my studies?
Yes, it's actually possible because we have a very interesting didactic format. Our students only have to be here from Monday to Wednesday, so only 3 days a week. So they have the great opportunity either to pursue a minor professional activity, but maybe even more important, to organize their self-study independently.
Would I be able to gain any international experience?
Yes, of course, even during your studies, because about 50% of our students don't come from Austria. So it's a very international cohort. But it's not only that. Our students also have the possibility to spend 1 year abroad during the studies. First of all, they have to go on an internship that has to be abroad, outside of their home country. And secondly, they can, on a voluntary basis, go on an exchange semester to one of our 150 partner universities. And there's another point I want to mention. Our language of instruction is English, and so this also increases the international connectivity of our graduates.
That's fantastic. So we have more than one opportunity.
Of course you do.
So how much practice orientation is in your program?
Okay, there's quite a lot practice orientation, but I actually want to highlight that it is the connection between theory and practice that is very important. So we have lecturers from universities, high-ranked universities, but also from business. Especially in the higher semesters, we have many lecturers from business, and they bring practical problems and practical projects into the lectures. So there is a high practical application in the lectures. But as I mentioned before, it's the connection between theory and practice. And that's the reason why we also start with research right at the beginning. Our students learn to apply research methods already in the first semester, so they can then apply these methods on their scientific papers and later on their bachelor's thesis. And in this context, I also want to maybe pick out 2 lectures that I think are really important, like business data analytics or also statistical methods, because I think it's very important to have that knowledge, because you're always in the situation that you have to analyze reports or interpret reports, and you should be able to build your own opinion, and so that's very important, I think.
So there's also an IT component to this study program.
Of course. First of all, we have a specialization which has an IT component, but especially in the lecture I just mentioned before, business data analytics, our students use IT tools to answer these questions.
It's very interesting.
Mm-hmm. I think so too.
You mentioned before that there's a specialization with digital transformation. Are there any other specializations in the study program?
Yes, of course, we have 3 specializations. It's not only digital transformation, we also have corporate communications and international project management. I think that's also something very special in this program. And one important thing I want to highlight is that you don't have to choose a specialization. You get all 3 of them.
Oh.
And I think that's why our program is very outstanding too.
And to who would you recommend this study program?
Okay, that's an interesting question. I would recommend that study to students that like to work in a creative and dynamic environment and who want to gain experience during their studies already. My students always tell me that they love the team spirit within the cohort and that it's so valuable for them that they can gain international experience and experience with different ethnicities so early.
What about the English level if I'm a German-speaking student?
This is a very good question, I think, because this is a worry many beginners have. But after the first day, they tell me that this worry disappeared because from the very beginning, they start speaking English all the time, even during the breaks, and they say it's no problem at all. But there's another point maybe I want to mention. I also recommend this program to those students who are interested in business and management but don't want to specialize from the beginning. Because I think, why should a student have to decide on a specialization right away? Or why isn't there the time to develop interests during the course of a program? And that's a very big asset that we have here. You get a sound education in business and have all options open, and I think that is very important.
So the next question on my list is about the focus areas. Could you tell me a little bit more about them?
Yes, of course. We have 3 focus areas. We have corporate communications, international project management, and digital transformation. I would like to start with corporate communications. Corporate communications comprises all forms of communication that deliver the corporate identity of a company.
And what does that actually mean?
Okay, the corporate identity is shaped by a company's vision and values. And this corporate identity distinguishes a company from other market participants. So it's very important to communicate it. And this communication can take place within a company, then we call it internal communication, or without the company, we call it then external communication. So in the internal communication, we talk about emails, brochures and things like that the employees receive. And when we talk about external communication, we mean the communication with clients, with banks, with investors, and so on. So you see, it's a very interesting and very important area for each company. Next, I would like to explain what you learn in international project management.
And what is a project?
Oh, that's a very good question. A project is a new and innovative task that is very often risky and very complex, so you need a certain project management to be successful. And when we talk about international projects, the complexity is even greater because of different legal regulations, because of different languages, different cultures, and so on. So it's very necessary that you know how to lead such a project and how to plan such a project. And our students learn how to coordinate such a project, how to organize it, how to lead groups through such a project, because they also hear about leadership and get the leadership skills they need. Finally, I would also like to talk about digital transformation. Digital transformation is an ongoing process that is triggered by IT technologies. And it's very important that our students and also graduates address these changes proactively and know how to treat them. So I think it's a very important thing that you learn how to cope with these challenges.
What would influence my decision to apply for your program would be sustainability. Do you have any courses that focus on that?
Yes, we have a special course already in the first semester that focuses on sustainability. It's called Sustainability and Ethics in Leadership. It's very important for us that we sensitize our students from the beginning to this very important topic, but also later on we deal with sustainability because we have seminars like current issues on business administration and so on. And there our students deal with these topics in a scientific way and write papers, and sustainability will be a very important topic there.
Great. Do you think there's any other information that I should know?
Yes, maybe we could go a bit more into detail concerning practice orientation. Yeah? Because, as I mentioned before, we combine theory and practice. But I would also like to highlight that we don't only have lecturers from business, but that we also have experts from business that even design our curriculum. So it's practice-oriented right from the beginning. So we always have the combination of researchers and business people. But of course, in the courses, practice orientation should play an important role. And we have, as I mentioned before, lecturers from practice who bring practical problems and projects into the courses. But we have a very special course that I would like to introduce to you. It's called Digital Communication. And there our students work together with students from a German-speaking business program, and they deal with real projects from business, from companies around Krems and from Austria. They analyze the social media presence and the online communication of these companies and try to find ways to improve this internet presence. And what is very nice, they can present the result in front of these companies and give them really good hints to improve. Our students really enjoy that. And then add on here is that the best group is able to do an international project in Lithuania. They go to Lithuania for a week and work on an interdisciplinary project with students from other universities and other disciplines. And it's a virtual reality project, so it's really exciting for them, and they are always very enthusiastic when they come back.
So it's a very good way to motivate the students to do better.
Of course it is.
You mentioned before that the students have to do a mandatory internship. Could you tell me more about that?
I think it's rather clear that we have a mandatory internship because of our practice orientation. And I think it's also clear that this internship has to be abroad, which means outside of the home country of our students, because we have such an international focus. So where do our students go? Business-wise, they go to internationally active companies like BMW or Henkel. They also go to banks that work internationally, like UniCredit Bank or Raiffeisen International. But they also go to auditors, for example, like PricewaterhouseCoopers and Ernst & Young. Country-wise, you can find them nearly everywhere. The focus is on Europe, of course. They go to Denmark, they go to England, they go to Ireland, to Italy, for example, but some even go further away. They go to the USA, for example, or we also had some in Korea already.
Is there any support in order to find an internship?
Yes, there is support, of course, but I want to highlight that the main responsibility for finding an internship is on the student side, of course. But yes, there is a support. We have a career center. Our students have a coach that is responsible just for business administration, and he helps the students. He gives them advice. He makes contacts to companies. And he gives them advice in their application, and he also offers information events from the first semester on to lead the students to their internship. Furthermore, the Career Center offers a database where our students can find companies that offer internships, and furthermore, we also have a video platform where the students can watch videos from students that had done their internship already and that they produced themselves, and where they explain what experience they gained.
I've heard that in your studies some students have already founded a startup.
You're right. We have some founders already, and as you just mentioned, they founded the startup actually during their studies, and they are self-employed now. It's maybe because we focus our students on entrepreneurship. We even have a lesson or a course on entrepreneurship in the very first semesters to sensitize our students to this topic. But we also have an extracurricular offer here. It's the Creative Pre-Incubator, where our students get support when they have business ideas. Yeah? So they have workshops there, they have trainings there, and the people there help them to develop the business ideas and to pursue them till they are able to start their own business.
I've also read that the students get extra certificates. How does that work?
Yes, there is maybe one certificate I want to talk about. It's a certificate about project management. As I told you already, we have a specialization. It's called International Project Management, and our students learn really a lot there. And so they have the possibility to have the knowledge and skills tested by an outside party, so to speak, by a company that is renowned. It's called Project Management Austria. And they give you that certificate as soon as you pass their exams. And we support the students to do that, and even support them in the preparation for this certificate.
So can I expect good career prospects?
Yes, I definitely think so. We have quite close contact to our alumni, and so we know what they do. So we know that about 30% of our alumni go into a job right away. And I also have good news, nearly 100% of our alumni are employed in the long run. But The other percentage, so the majority, about 70%, they proceed with studies. They go into a master's program either at our own university or at another university in Austria or abroad. But you also asked me about your prospects in business, so maybe I can tell you what our students do when they go into business right away. And I must say, according to the specializations and according to the international focus we have, they go, of course, to companies that are internationally very active. And according to the specializations, project management and corporate communications, you can also find them there, usually in junior positions like marketing assistants, project managers, and corporate communication specialists, and so on. So that's what they do, actually.
So now I want to challenge you. Let us put it all in a nutshell.
You will have a solid basis for managing teams, for managing projects, no matter of what size. You will be able to work in communications and be digitally fit and therefore be able to launch an international career.
Thank you so much for the interview. I think I learned a lot that I didn't know before.
You're welcome.